So, good day everyone. Good day, Ma'am Sinamban. And we are the Group 5 and we'll be tackling about the topic sex determination and gametogenesis. So, next. So, under this topic, we have the chromosomal sex determination. So, chromosomal sex determination is the process by which an individual's biological sex is determined by the presence or absence of a specific sex chromosomes. It also plays a crucial role in directing the development of primary sexual characteristics, such as the gonads, which ultimately determine whether an individual will develop as male or female. So this can be further explained in the later subtopics that kana makuha na siya, ma-introduce niyo siya later. So next slide please. So, diri siya ma-further explain ni siya diri because mammalian pattern of sex determination is under the chromosomal sex determination subtopic. Now, mammalian pattern of sex determination is this can be explained in mammals wherein sex determination is dictated by whether an organism has an XX or an XY karyotype, wherein in most cases the female's karyotype is XX and the male is XY, wherein every individual must carry at least one X chromosome. Since the diploid female is XX, each of her haploid eggs has a single X chromosome. The male, being an XY, generates two population of haploid sperm. Half will bear an X chromosome, half a Y. If at fertilization the egg receives a second X chromosomes from the sperm, the resulting individual is XX, forms ovaries, and is male. If the egg receives a Y chromosome from the sperm, the individual is XY, forms testes, and is male. So we have a figure here that shows nga if ang egg mag-receive siya og kanang X chromosome, it will develop into female. Then if mag-receive siya og kanang Y chromosomes, then it will develop into male. So the main kuan man gyud ani gud kay like if maka-receive ang egg of Y chromosomes, then it will develop into testes. Because the Y chromosomes carries a gene that encodes a testes determining factor that organizes the bipotential gonad into a testes. So this can be further explained to the later topic. So next slide, please. So here, the presence of the Y chromosome carries the sex determination region Y or XRY gene, which is a master regulator of male development. If an individual receives an X chromosome from the sperm, they develop as female, forming ovaries, while receiving a Y chromosome leads to male development, forming testes. So, malocate ang sex determination region Y or SRY gene in here. Makita ninyo siya sa figure nga na siya lalocate sa short arm. So, this is Y chromosome, no? So, all this, kani siya nga mga part na kung gikuan karon is just introduction or mga hapsay lang ni siya nga kung ano gyud ang SRY gene or why na-develop siya into testes because of the Y chromosome. So, I guess that's my part.
So, for a further kanang explanation about the XX chromosome and the XY chromosome, we have the primary sex determination. So, unlike other kanang gonads na ay lung rudiment, unlike other rudiments like lung rudiment mag-form siya into lung o ang liver rudiment mag-form into liver, ang ato ang gonads or ang mammalian gonad is bipotential, meaning it is sexually indifferent or dili pa siya committed to any male or female direction or traits. So, atong gonads or a mammal's gonads can become an ovary or a testis. So, the developing gonads. Gonads in the fetus appear sa week 4 until week 7. However, at week 6, kaning germ cells will migrate sa gonads tapos masurrounded sila sa mesodermal cells. So, these gonadal precursors are paired regions of the mesoderm adjacent to the developing kidneys. So, man ni siya. If the fetus is XY, meaning it's female, na siya path. Female. If the fetus is XY, meaning male, Ang mesodermal cells will keep multiplying until week 8. Then, kani din silang mesodermal cells, mag-differentiate siya into Sertoli cells wherein mag-release siya og anti-Mullerian hormone. Kaning anti-Mullerian hormone siya ang ga-block sa production sa hormone nga ga-produce og female nga mga female ducts. Also, si Sertoli cells will become or mature into a seminiferous tubule. So, not all mesodermal cells sa XY is ma-form siya into Sertoli cells. Others will become Leydig cells, mga mesenchymal cell type. Kaning Leydig cells na itong ga-secrete og testosterone. So, manan ni siya sa week 8 na I will find duct that will become the vas deferens o Mullerian duct, then ito ni Calvogenia, then kaning germ cells, o muna siya ang testis cords. Testis cords, gikan niya siya sa Sertoli cells until maabot na siya sa 16 weeks na process. So, muna siya ang process nga gi-summarized. So, first, ang Sertoli cells is mag-form siya into testis cords. Bali, iyahang mag-i-organize niya iyang self into testis cords. Tapos, mo-connect siya sa retestis. And then, kanina yung germ cells will migrate siya mag-migrate siya sa testis. Then, dito ma-happen ang development. Tapos, after ana, ang katuda ang testis cord, mag-matured siya into seminiferous tubule until over time na sperm production. And then, hangtod sa maabot na dayon sa sperm transport from testis to retestis, different ducts, and mag-differentiate into epididymis and vas deferens until nanay sperm and urine exit through urethra. But if the fetus is XX or female, the sex cords in the center of the developing gonad degenerate, leaving sex cords at the surface of the gonad. So, ang kaning germ cell nato, mahimo na siyang ova or ang eggs, and then katong gasurround kang germ cell, which are the cord epithelial cells, will become the granulosa cells. Then, the remaining mesenchyme will become the thecal cells. So if theca and granulosa combine together, maka-form sila og follicles wherein na dito si oocyte. So, muna din siya ang process. Kung sa XY is na sila'y vas deferens, ang sa female is na sila'y Mullerian duct. So, mag-process gyapon ni siya, gyapon siya pag-develop until from week 8 to week 20. So, making decisions. So the story starts in the bipotential gonad that has not yet been committed to the male or female direction. So, in order nga makamake og decision or sa para naay sex determination, there are transcription factors nga kinahanglan. So, these are the WT1, LHX9, GATA4, and SF1. So, if any of these transcription factors is mawala, possible nga mag-prevent ang normal development or determination sa sex. So, manidan dinhi ang figure, ang naka-simplified figure to explain unsa ang kaning bipotential genital ridge or kaning mga transcription factors. It's either if XY or if XX, maan na siya B-catenin, and then if XY, may mo siya na siya SOX9. So, if no Y chromosome, meaning XX. So, ang kaning P factors or katong upat ka transcription factors, ang ilang i-activate nga expression is ang WNT4 protein ug R-spondin 1. So, kaning si WNT protein, siya ang direct sa development sa ovaries, while si R-spondin 1, gahelp po siya direct sa development, pero gahelp siya stimulate or activate sa WNT signaling pathway because si WNT signaling pathway ang gabuhat sa B-catenin. Si B-catenin is important and naa siya mga functions because kay si B-catenin bali more siya pro-ovarian and anti-testis. So, first, iyang function is gina-activate niya ang genes for RSPO1 and WNT4. Then number 2, it initiates the ovarian pathway of development and inhibits the production of SOX9. So, if Y chromosome is present, meaning na ay male, ang gina-activate na factor niya is ang SRY gene. So, gingan ganina ni Julius na ang SRY gene is ang determining factor para sa sex. So kani si SRY magbind na siya sa enhancer sa SOX9 gene and iyang gina-increase ang expression of this gene in the testis determining pathway. So kani si SRY gene probably mag-last lang ni siya until pila ka weeks until sa mag-bind na siya sa enhancer sa SOX9 gene. So SRY gene and SOX9 gene together both act to block the B-catenin. So let's go to the ovary pathway, the Wnt4 and the R-spondin1. So WT4 is expressed in the bipotential gonads and is maintained as they begin to form ovaries. The R-spondin1 acts in synergy with Wnt4 to produce B-catenin, which appears to be critical in activating further ovarian development and in blocking the synthesis of a testis-determining factor, SOX9. So, sa akong gingon ganina gani nga, ang kaning R-spondin1 is important ni siya because siya ang stimulate or ga-activate sa disheveled proteins sa naa nga pathway ni WNT4. Because if if dili to siya ma-stimulate sa R-spondin1, dili po normal ang i-produce ni B-catenin. And si B-catenin is important because kung wala siya, walay ka ng pathway for the female nga mga ovary. So the B-catenin, so mo itong ingon ganina, nga mo ni siya gina-activate ang genes, initiate and inhibits the production of SOX9. So the B-catenin, na some transcription factors na gina-activate po ang B-catenin. And these transcription factors are only found in the ovaries. We have the TAFI105. It is a gene encoding transcription factor subunit found only in the ovarian follicle. And it is a protein that helps the RNA polymerase bind to DNA. Then we also have the FOXL2, which is highly active in ovaries. So daghan pag mga transcription factors ang gina-activate ni B-catenin, pero these are only few of the mentioned gana sa book. So the gonadal organization is not stable throughout life. Meaning sa not stable is that naapay possibility na naay female to male sex reversal. Meaning if ang fetus is female, napa siya possibility nga mahimo pa siyang sex if ang FOXL2 is deleted in adult stage ovaries, so ang kaning SOX9 gene becomes active and the ovary is transformed into a testis. So pwede pud gihapon nga if less ang production sa B-catenin, pwede siya nga ma-override na siya sa kanang SOX9 and then siya na din ang mo-dominate. So mahimo na din siyang male. So now we have the testis pathway. So para itong giingon ganina ni Julius, ang SRY gene is located in the short arm of the Y. So siya ang chromosome sex determinant. So importante na siya. So if the embryo has a functional SRY gene na cell, then it will develop as a male. Ang SOX9 is ang autosomal testis determining genes. So in the gonadal rudiments, SOX9 induces testis formation. So without SOX9, dili na siya maka-influence na formation sa testis. And even if present si SRY, according sa experiment na sa mouse gonads, ang gonad sa mouse, dili siya maka-form of testis if SOX9 is present. So bali, bahalag wala si SRY, basta kaya si SOX9. Because si SOX9, pwede niya ma-replace si SRY sa testis formation. So, naay po yung mga functions si SOX9. Bali, ang equivalent ni SOX9 ani is si B-catenin kung sa female and then SOX9 for the male. So, first, SOX9 protein can activate its own promoter, allowing it to be continuously transcribed. It prevents B-catenin from inducing ovary formation either directly or indirectly, and SOX9 binds to regulatory regions of many genes needed for testis production. So, bali, mo to ang ingon nga equivalent si SOX9 kang B-catenin because si SOX9 is also a pro-testis and anti-ovary. And the reason why nga nung makaingon siguro sila nga ma-replace niya ang SRY sa pagdetermine na is because maka-activate man siya sa iyahang own promoter. So, continuous ang iyang transcription. Then, hermaphrodites. These are individuals that contains both ovarian and testicular tissues. So, meaning they have either ovotestis or an ovary on one side and a testis on the other. So, dili ani siya mo dili na siya present sa fetus, but also pwede na siya mukuan sa pwede siya present sa adult or sa child. Sa hermaphrodite, so siya ginapili nga timeline. So, dito na tataman.
So, hello everyone. I will be talking about the secondary sex determination, hormonal regulation of the sexual phenotype. So, first, let us define what is primary sex determination. It was tackled by the recent reporter, which is Miss Feby. So, primary sex determination forms either ovary or testes, but not complete sexual phenotype. So, it is formed by the bipotential gonads, but this primary sex determination doesn't result to the full, complete na sex phenotype. Whereas the secondary sex determination in mammals, it develops female and male phenotypes in response to the ovarian and testicular hormones. So, sa secondary sex determination, muna ni siya ang the formation of the sex phenotypes of both male and female by the in response to the secreted hormones by the ovary and testes. So there are two temporal phases of the secondary sex determination. So the first is the embryogenesis, specifically sa it occurs during the organogenesis. So the second phase will occur during the puberty of the mammals. So in humans or ba? So next slide. So during embryonic development, hormones and paracrine signals coordinate gonad development with secondary sexual organ development. So in females, ang Mullerian ducts differentiate into uterus, cervix, oviducts, and upper vagina under the influence of estrogen, while the Wolffian ducts regression or magregressia in females due to the absence of testosterone, while the urogenital sinus forms Skin's gland. So the coordination of the male phenotype involves the secretion of two testicular factors. So the first testicular factors is the anti-Mullerian hormone, or it is a BMP-like paracrine factor made by Sertoli cells, so which causes the degeneration of the Mullerian ducts. So the second na testicular na factor kay ang steroid hormone testosterone. So it is a BMP-like paracrine factor, same as the anti-Mullerian hormone, made by the Sertoli cells. So it causes the degeneration of the Mullerian duct. So again, they have the same function. So moving on, in males, anti-Mullerian hormone from Sertoli cells causes regression of Mullerian ducts, while testosterone from Leydig cells promotes differentiation of Wolffian ducts into sperm-carrying tubes and seminal vesicles. So ang kaniyang anti-Mullerian hormone, gikan ni siya sa Sertoli cells, while ang testosterone, gikan siya sa Leydig cells. So they both have different function, which is ang kaniang anti-Mullerian na hormone kay siya ang cause sa regression sa Mullerian ducts, while kaning testosterone kay siya pod ang promote sa differentiation of the Wolffian ducts into sperm-carrying tubules and seminal vesicle. So testosterone also leads to the development of the penis and scrotum from the genital tubercle and labiscrotal folds respectively in males. The urogenital sinus forms the bladder, urethra, and prostate gland in males. So testosterone and dihydrotestosterone testosterone interact with the Wnt pathway to masculinize the genital tubercle. So the Wnt pathway, which typically activates the female trajectory, promotes male development in the genital tubercle. Kaning Dickoff, a Wnt antagonist produced in the urogenital swellings, can be regulated by testosterone and anti-androgens. So, in XX individual, ang Dickoff na production, gina-prevent niya ang Wnt activity in the mesenchyme, leading to the feminization of the genital tubercle by estrogens. So, in female na individual, ang pag-produce aning Dickoff kanang sa produce sa urogenital swellings, iyang gina-prevent ang Wnt activity sa mesenchyme na mag-lead sa feminization of the genital tubercle by estrogens. So siya ang kaning Dickoff na production, iyang gina-prevent ang Wnt activity. So which means it will lead to the feminization of the genital tubercle by estrogens. So muna ni siya tong makahimo og ang ilang ihimuon ang katong mesenchyme or unsa ba to? Katong urogenital swellings sa mahimo siyang clitoris and labia majora. So in females, the genital tubercle develops into the clitoris while the labioscrotal folds become the labia majora. Testosterone and dihydrotestosterone binding to androgen receptor promote male genital development. So this schema, kaniya siya na schema, muna siya ang representation sa model sa external genitalia, sa formation sa external genitalia. As you can see here, they both have different process. So which means na ang XX chromosome, XY chromosome, lahi sila gina-modify sa ilahang urogenital swelling. So first I'm gonna kuan ang female. So sa female there is no presence of androgen, which is composed of testosterone or dihydrotestosterone bind with the androgen receptor, which if wala siya androgen bind with the androgen receptor, which permits or makasynthesize to siya ang mesenchyme cell maka-synthesize siya og Wnt inhibitor like Dickoff and etc. So if naay synthesis aning Wnt inhibitor, so kuan ang iyang i-prevent ang basta naay Wnt inhibitor, iyang i-prevent ang kanang murag production sa Wnt path or the beta-catenin activity. So if naa si Wnt inhibitor, it will allow the estrogen bind with the estrogen receptor to modify the urogenital swellings into clitoris and labia majora. So muna siya sa chromosome XX. Moving on sa chromosome XY, which is the male, naay presence of androgen, which is composed of testosterone or dihydrotestosterone. So it is bind with androgen receptor, which iyang gi-prevent pod ang pagkuan sa Wnt inhibitor, which allows the Wnt-catenin activity na kuan siya kanaang ma-synthesize siya or ma-release something like that. Then after di ba wala may mo prevent dayon sa So which means it will allow the androgen bind with the androgen receptor will allow the Wnt or beta-catenin activity to modify the urogenital swellings into a penis and scrotum rather. So testosterone promotes the formation of male structure from the Wolffian duct primordium but does not directly masculinize the urethra, prostate, penis, or scrotum. While dihydrotestosterone or DHT is a more potent hormone than testosterone and controls the masculinization of these structures. It is most active prenatally and in early childhood. So individuals lacking a function gene for the enzyme 5-A ketosteroid reductase or to which converts the testosterone to DHT may appear phenotypically female at birth but have male internal anatomy. So at puberty, when testes produce high levels of testosterone, external genitalia respond to the hormone and differentiate, enlarging the penis and descending the scrotum. These highlight the role of DHT in external genitalia formation. So testosterone causes the Wolffian ducts to differentiate into sperm-carrying tube, which are the epididymis and vas deferens, as well as the seminal vesicle, which emerges as an outpacketing of the vas deferens. And it causes the genital tubercle, which is the precursor of the external genitalia, to develop into the penis, and the labioscrotal folds to develop into the scrotum. So, the Wnt antagonist or DCOF is made in the urogenital swelling. So, muni siya ang akong gikuan gaya sa schema. So, and can be down-regulated by testosterone and up-regulated by anti-androgens. So, this findings, since this is it is a experiment, so this kanina finding siya, kay nag-lead siya to a model wherein the urogenital swellings of XX individuals make DCOF, thus preventing the activity of Wnt in the mesenchyme, so blocking further growth and leading to the feminization of the genital tubercle by estrogen. So this this happens in the female na genitalia na formation. So in females then, the genital tubercle becomes the clitoris and the labioscrotal folds become the labia majora in males. However, ang testosterone and dihydrotestosterone bind to the androgen. So, muna to siya. So, moving on, nanata sa the genetic analysis of secondary sex determination. So, androgen insensitivity syndrome or AIS demonstrates separate AMH or anti-Mullerian hormone and testosterone pathways of masculinization, as XY or male individuals with AIS cannot respond to testosterone but can respond to estrogen. Murag nabali siya, leading to female external sex characteristics. So, AIS individuals lack a uterus and oviducts but have internal testes, developing as sterile women despite the XY karyotype. So, intersex condition where male and female traits coexist in one individual after about 0.4 to 1.7% of the population, with AIS being one of the several intersex conditions. So, naay term diri which is a pseudo-hermaphroditism. It is a type of intersex condition involves the presence of only one type of gonad but with secondary sex characteristics differing from gonadal sex. So male pseudo-hermaphroditism can result from mutations in the androgen receptor or testosterone synthesis genes, while female pseudo-hermaphroditism can be caused by overproduction of androgens in the ovary or adrenal glands, such as in congenital adrenal hyperplasia. So, the genetic analysis of the secondary sex determination. So, this is the figure where which describe the androgen insensitivity syndrome. Despite having the XY karyotype, individuals with this syndrome appears female. They cannot respond to testosterone but can respond to estrogen. So they develop female secondary sex characteristic. These are like labia and clitoris rather than a scrotum and a penis. So internally, they lack the Mullerian duct derivatives and have an undescended testes. Androgen insensitivity syndrome or AIS demonstrates separate anti-Mullerian hormone and testosterone pathways of masculinization. As XY individuals with AIS cannot respond to testosterone but can respond to estrogen, leading to female external sex characteristics. So, ang AIS individuals lack a uterus and oviducts but have internal testes, developing as sterile women despite the XY karyotype. So, I think nibalik na ko. So, sa akong topic ay sa akong giingon ganiya. So this is a figure this showing the testosterone and dihydrotestosterone. So it is these are dependent regions of the human male genital system. So testosterone and dihydrotestosterone interact with the Wnt pathway to masculinize the genital tubercle. So the Wnt pathway, which typically activates the female trajectory, promotes male development in the genital tubercle. Dick-off, a Wnt antagonist produced in the urogenital swellings, can be regulated by testosterone and anti-androgens. In XX individual, in females na individuals, ang Dick-off production prevents Wnt activity in the mesenchyme, leading to feminization of the genital tubercle by estrogen. So, these na mga na process, I already mentioned it a while ago when I discussed the formation of the external genitalia. So they are connected rin sila. So in females, the genital tubercle develops into the clitoris while the vesicle folds from the labia majora. Testosterone and dihydrotestosterone binding to androgen receptor promotes male genital development. So moving on, so moni siya ang also known as AMH or the anti-Mullerian hormone. So let's define AMH. It is secreted from fetal Sertoli cells, induces degeneration of the Mullerian duct by binding to mesenchyme cells surrounding the duct, leading to apoptosis in the duct's epithelium. While ang estrogen, it plays a crucial role in postnatal development of both Mullerian and Wolffian ducts. It is essential for fertility in male and females. In females, estrogen promotes differentiation of the Mullerian duct into reproductive organs. Absence of estrogen or its receptor in males can lead to sterility due to impaired sperm concentration, regulation, and absorption of water in the rete testes.
So, to sum up sa giingon sa discuss ni Carlos, in mammals, primary sex determination is governed by chromosomes, which individual with XY chromosome typically develop testes, while those with XX chromosome tend to develop ovaries. And these gonads then produce hormones that coordinate the development of male or female phenotypes. Now, in female mice, when estrogen receptor gene are knocked out, it leads to germ cells death and the development of Sertilo-like cell. While in male mice, the knockout of estrogen receptor gene reduce sperm production, causing sterility. In male efferent duct cells, it plays a crucial role in regulating water absorptions and sperm concentration, a process influenced by estrogen. The concentration of estrogen in the testes, a network of tubules in the testes, is higher than a female blood. In secondary determination, is more complex and analogous. It nag-involve magud siya og varying level of hormones and responses that create a spectrum of phenotypes. And this variability allow for the development of diverse secondary sexual characteristics such as kanang mga body hair, breast development, and voice pitch. Among others lang ang voice pitch, no? So, and this is based on the interplay of hormonal influence. Moving on sa next topic, which is the environmental sex determination. In environmental sex determination, it is a phenomenon where the sex of an organism is determined by environmental factor rather than a genetic factor such as temperature. This means that the same genotype can develop into either a male or a female depending on the environment in which the organism developed. So, next slide. In temperature-dependent sex determination, this is a crucial period of the embryonic development that determines that whether an egg develop a male or female. Reptiles with TSD do not have heteromorphic sex chromosomes. They have little or no genetic disposition to respond to the temperature in particular ways. The thermosensitive period occurs after the egg has been laid, so sex determination condition affecting egg hatches nest. Now, this is observed in many reptile species where the temperature experienced during an embryonic development determines the sex of the offspring. Unlike mammals, manjud, or birds, which have genetic sex determination based on the heteromorphic sex chromosomes, XX for male, XY for female. Sa reptiles manggod, nga naay mga TDS, wala siya ga-process og mga chromosomes. Instead, ilang sex na determine sa temperature sa isa ka environment or in which eggs are incubated. The mechanisms of the TDS is complex and varies among the different reptile species, but it is generally involve a temperature-sensitive genes or genes that influence the expression of sex-determining genes. During a specific period of the embryonic development known as the thermosensitive period, the temperature experienced by the developing embryo determines whether it will develop a male or female. Next slide. While the sex of most snake and most lizard is determined by sex chromosomes at the same time of fertilization, the sex of most turtle and all species of crocodiles is determined by the environmental factor fertilization. In these reptiles, temperature of egg during a certain period of development is the deciding factor in determining sex. The small change in temperature can cause a dramatic change in the sex ratio. So, to explain further, in reptiles magod such turtles and crocodiles, unlike most snake and lizards, the sex of offspring isn't determined by sex chromosomes at fertilizations. Instead, na-determine siya by post-fertilization by environmental factor, specifically in temperature. During a specific environment development known as a thermosensitive period, the temperature experienced by the developing embryo influence their sexual differentiation, and even a small temperature mga gap during this crucial period can lead to significant shift in the sex ratio, resulting of the offspring sex. And this unique manggod, known as the temperature-dependent sex determination, underscore the remarkable adaptability of these reptiles to their surrounding, and it's highlighted the intricate interplay between genetic and the environmental cues in shaping their development and reproductive strategy. Next slide, the turtle. As we can see in the graph, the temperature-dependent sex determination in 3 reptile species: the American alligator, the red ear slider turtle and the alligator snapping turtle. So, in this, the sex determination process in the red slider turtle and the snapping turtle is influenced by temperature. For the red slider turtle, if the eggs are kept at temperature below 28 Celsius during incubation, all the hatching will be male, while if the temperature rises above 31 Celsius, every egg will produce a female turtle. In the little range of the kanabitong temperature between 28 Celsius and 31 Celsius, a mix of both male and female turtle will hatch. Now, considering the snapping turtle, yan nasa ubos, the situation is highly different, diba? Its egg exhibit a dual threshold system. At cooler temperature, 22 Celsius or lower, the egg is yield female offspring. While at the hotter temperature, 28 Celsius or above, the majority of the offspring are male. And between this temperature, between the temperature range where both sexes are produced, but male tend to kanang mas dagan ang male, di ba? Murag mas kuan nga male siya. And this example nag-showcase siya about sa how sensitive, no, like bisan pag gamay ra kay siya nga range, maka-affect siya sa sex sa offspring. This is by the temperature-dependent sex determinations in reptiles. And even lang bisag kamay bitaw kayo nga range or variations ani nga temperature, but during this period, the development can lead to significant shift in the sex ratio of the offspring. And this phenomenon underscore the interaction between environmental cues such as temperature and the genetic factor in shaping the development.
One of the most important events in sex determination is the determination of the germ cells to undergo gametogenesis. So, gametogenesis, it is the process of formation of haploid gametes such as the sperms and ovum in the gonads. Now, gametogenesis has two types, spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Now, spermatogenesis occurs inside the testicles of a male, and oogenesis occurs inside the ovaries of a female. But now, we will be talking about the origin of a specialized cell called the primordial germ cells. So, these are the cells that give rise to the sex cells or the gametes. Mammalian primordial germ cell or PGC are bipotential, and meaning they can be either sperm or eggs. Now, if they reside in the ovaries, they become eggs, and if they reside in the testes, they will become sperm. So, all of these decisions are coordinated by factors produced by the developing gonads. Now, the cells that generate the sperm or the eggs do not originally form inside the gonads. Rather, they form in the posterior portion of the embryo and migrate into the gonads. So, where can we see this PGC? Which part of the embryonic area PGC arise? So, in this picture, I will explain kung asa gyud ni arise si PGC, kung paunsa siya ni migrate padulong dito kay genital ridges. So, this PGC arises in the epiblast. So, from the epiblast, they arise near the wall of the yolk sac, as you can see in the picture. So, this PGC first appear in this part, dili na siya nga part mo appear, and later they start to migrate around mga 3rd week. Now, in this second image, so the hindgut area, so kaning nga part diri, which is called the terminal hindgut, and also called the cloaca. And taasan ng cloaca kani siyang nga figure kay mauna na siya ang allantois. Now the PGC start to migrate through the wall and through the dorsal mesentery. So this part here is the hindgut tube kani siya na naka-attach or connected to the dorsal mesentery. Now through the dorsal mesentery, the PGC or the primordial germ cells start to migrate. Mag-migrate na sila and slowly invade the genital ridges. Mo ni siya kanang red na. Now in the 5th week, they will appear near the genital ridges. And sa 6th week kay they start to invade the genital ridges. So kaning migration sa PGC kay important ni siya nga process because this germ cell they form inductive influence for the further development of the ridges. So if there is no migration, the gonad do not develop further and that leads to the gonadal dysgenesis. So kaning gonadal dysgenesis, it is a condition involving the reproductive organs, specifically the gonads, where they don't develop properly. So kaning si primordial germ cell kay surrounded ni siya by the cell secreting stem cell factor. Now kaning si stem cell factor kay necessary ni siya for the motility and survival sa primordial germ cell. So nga naman siya important. So kaning stem cell factor kibali ginaguide niya si PGC ug iyang ginaprotektahan kung asa ilahang padulungan in order to grow properly. So moreover, the cluster of stem cell factor secreting cells appear to migrate with the PGC, forming a traveling niche of cells that support the persistent and division and movement of the PGC. Also kaning si secreting cell factor kay uban po ni siya o migrate kay PGC kibali mura siya kanang dalan, kibali siya ang gahimog dalan kay PGC padulong dito sa genital ridges. Mao na siyang inatawag na traveling niche. So yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, the genital ridges, which is can be seen here, kani siya nga part. So kanang black mao na siya ang tawag ana kay surface epithelium or also called the mesothelium. So shortly before the primordial germ cell are invading, now kaning si surface epithelium kay mag-start ni siya og proliferating and penetrating the underlying mesenchyme to form a medullary cord. So the surface epithelium kay mo start na siya proliferate and invade the underlying mesenchyme. Then the condensation of the mesenchyme dayon. So kaning dali nga part kay mo invade na sira dira and katong na form nila kay mao to siyang tawag nga medullary cord. And then so kanang whole structure na dayon kay mao na siyang ginatawag nga primitive sex cord. So before the 6th week kaning si genital ridges kay dili pa ni siya ma-differentiate into a male gonad or a female gonad. So how does the sex determination takes place after 6th week? So the morphological characteristics of a male and a female can be done after 7th week. So after the migration of the primordial germ cell. So we all know na kaning sex sa fetus kay mainly ga-differ siya sa sperm or the spermatocyte. So if the sperm kay ga-carry og kanang Y chromosome, then after the fertilization kay ang ma-form na dayon kay XY. So it will determine nga male siya. If the sperm kay ga-carry og kanang X chromosome, then after the fertilization kay mag-determine na dayon og female. Now, protein expressed by the germ cell. So first is VASA. It is involved in binding RNA and most likely activate germ cell specific messages. Now, so kaning si VASA it is a protein which is involved in the process of creating proteins from RNA in germ cells. So it is crucial for the development and health of these cells. So nanos is a protein that bind to their partner, which is a pumilio, to form a very potent repressive dimer. Now, kani si nanos kay help siya to control the stability and translation of RNA into proteins, ensuring that only the necessary proteins are made at the right time. Also, kani si nanos kay ga-play pod siya og role, which is ga-stop siya sa kanang certain genes from getting too active. Now, Tudor, it assists in organizing gene activity within cells, making sure everything runs smoothly. Also, kaning si Tudor kay were discovered in Drosophila, in which females carrying these genes are sterile. Now, kani siya, si Tudor kay part of a group that binds in a specific RNA molecules, helping to regulate various processes in the cell, including the genes are expressed and how the cell develops. Lastly, si PIWI. Now, proteins that are involved in transcriptional silencing proteins of the genome, especially active transposon. So, kani siya nga protein kay it is part of a pathway that helps to suppress the jumping of genetic elements within the cell's DNA. So, it is important for maintaining the stability of the cell's genetic material. So, the gatekeeper for meiosis appears to be the STRA8 transcription factor, which promotes of a new round of DNA synthesis and meiotic initiation in the germ cells. Now, kaning si STRA8 it is a gene that plays a critical role in the process of germ cell development, particularly in the formation of the sperm and the eggs. So, when the STR8 is stimulated by the retinoic acid, kani siya kay mag-active and promotes the differentiation of the germ cells into either sperm or eggs. Now, STRA8 it stands for stimulated by retinoic acid gene 8. Now, so in the developing ovaries, the STRA8 is upregulated by these two factors, which is the WNT4 and retinoic acid. So it is coming from the adjacent kidney. Now, upregulated, when we say upregulated, it means that the activity or the production of the STRA8 increased. So in this case, STRA8 becomes more active because of these two factors. So when the WNT4 and the retinoic acid are present, they act like a signal to increase the production or the activity of the STRA8, which then helps the cells to start the process of becoming reproductive cells. Also, WNT4, it stands for wingless type MMTV integration site family member 4. Ang role in the development of the reproductive organs and the kidneys. Now, in the developing testes, however, the STRA8 is downregulated by the FGF9, and the retinoic acid produced by the mesonephros is degraded by the testis secretion of the RA redegrading enzyme CYP26B1. Kaning si FGF9, gaak siya like a signal in our body telling the cells what to do. So in this case, kay gina-tell niyang cells to slow down the production or activity ni STRA8. Now, so in simple terms, FGF9 and CYP26B1, they are like controllers that tell cells to slow down. So, to slow down the production of the STRA8. And FGF9 does this directly, while CYP26B1 breaks down the retinoic acid produced by the mesonephros, which indirectly reduces the activity of STR8. Now, FGF9, it stands for fibroblast growth factor 9, also plays a critical or crucial role in the development of the male reproductive system, particularly in the development of testes. So, ang CYP26B1, it stands for cytochrome P450, family 26, subfamily B, polypeptide 1. Now, the enzyme encoded by CYP26B1 is involved in the metabolism of retinoic acid, which is derivative of vitamin A. So, kaning sa letter A, it is an example of a mouse embryo. So, retinoic acid is secreted from the mesonephros. Ni siya sa normal. Kung tawag na to sa normal, si mesonephros nag-secrete siya og retinoic acid padulong sa gonads para ma-trigger ang meiotic initiation via the induction of STR8 transcription factor sa female germ cells. Now, however, kaning sa next tapad niya kay if gi-activate na to si nanus2 genes, then gi-add sa female germ cell, they suppress the STR8 expression, leading the germ cells into a male pathway. So instead na magkuan siya, mahimo siyang babae, kay nahimo na hinuon siyang lalaki. So na siya because of the adding of the gene which is sinanus2. Now kani sinanus2 unsa ba ni siya? So kani siya kay specific ni siya for the male germ cells that helps to maintain their male type differentiation. Kay ang sa babae, ang ilahang kuan sa ilaha kay nanus3. Specific na sa mga female germ cells that plays important roles in the development and regulation of oocyte in the ovaries. So mao na siya. So kanina po sa kuan, next niya kanin sa B kay in the early stage of developing testes in embryos, a gene called the CYP26B1 kay gi-block niya si retinoic acid, thereby preventing the male germ cells from starting the process of meiosis until the embryo reaches day 13 of development. So kaning before. So when the CYP26B1 becomes less active, so mahimo siyang less active, another gene called the nanus2, which is specific for the male, becomes active. Now i-prevent ni nanus2 si meiosis by blocking the expression of a gene which is the STR8. So ngano man niya gi-block si STR8. So in order for the germ cells to develop as male type cells, so kaning kuan duha ka genes kay gahelp sila og control how the male germ cells develop in the testes during the embryonic growth. Now, once the STR8 is present, the sperm stem cells become committed to meiosis. Thus, the timing of the retinoic acid synthesis appears to control STRA8. Sexual reproduction, evolutionary variation, and the transmission of traits from one generation to the next all come down to meiosis. So, to understand what germ cells do, we must understand meiosis. Now, meiosis, also called the reduction division, and meiosis is the means by which the gametes halves the number of their chromosomes. Now, meiosis also has two cell division, which is the meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Meiosis 1 has 4 phases, which is the prophase 1 is kanang pinaka-longest na siya nga phase that has a subdivided stages, which is si leptotin, zygotin, pakitin, diplotin, and diakinesis. And then the phases so on, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1, and then sa meiosis 2 also has the 4 phases, prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2, telophase 2. So now, prophase 1, it starts with a diploid cell, which contain uncoiled sets of chromosomes, one from each parent. Now, after the chromatin and the DNA replication, it condenses into an X-shaped chromosome. So, ano na siya? Now, each homologous chromosome pairs up with the corresponding homologous chromosome, forming a tetrad. From the root word tetra, which means 4, so a tetrad is a group of 4 sister chromatids which is paired in homologous chromosomes. Now, the different version of the same gene on each chromosome are called the alleles. Now, for the prophase 1, which is subdivided into stages, so first is the leptotin, so also called the thin thread stage. So this stage, the condensation of the chromatin occurred to form a chromosomes. So also lepto means thin. So after that, they will find their homologous pair, and this is what we call the homologous chromosome. Nag-pair kay blue pod nga koan sister chromatid, which they are identical and has the same size and numbers of gene. Now, then they pair up to each other, end-to-end pairing, then a special bond formed between them, which is called the protein complex or the synoptinimal complex. Now, this process of pairing ang tawag ani kay synapses. And because of they are pairing with each other, ang tawag ani nga stage kay zygote. So, sa zygote nga stage, dira ka-happen ang synapses or the bond between the chromosomes, which is called the synoptinimal complex. Now, zygo means to paired with each other. So, in zygote, they form a synapse, and that's because of the formation of the synoptinimal complex. Now, so, kaning silang homologous chromosome kay they lies on each other. So, there will be an exchange of genetic material between them. So, kanina po nga process, ang ginatawag ani is crossing over or recombination. Now, kanisa nga phase, which the crossing over occurs, kay ang tawag ani kay the pakitin or the thickening stage siya. So, kaning crossing over kay randomly happens on every chromosomes, resulting in different gene recombination. So, that's explain why every gametes is genetically different from each other or from every other gametes. And then after that, kay mo separate na sila, they will separate to each other, and the synoptinimal complex dissociates, and ang tawag na ito dayon nga phase kay diplotin. So, the part where the exchange of the genetic material happened, they were kaning still attached para gyapon na sila sa ilaha. Mao na siyang kuan, dira nga part ang tawag na ana dayon is chiasma or chiasmata. Also, kaning homologous chromosome, also called as bivalent, or the bivalent, it indicates that two homologous chromosomes have paired up during a meiosis. Now, then after the diplotin, dayon kay they move apart from each other, ang tawag na dayon ato nga stage is the diakinesis or the moving apart, mo na siyang ginatawag dira. So, diakinesis, it happens that the nuclear is also lost, kaning mawala pod, so that the subsequent phases like the metaphase, anaphase, kay they could easily separated from each other. So, in overall, si leptotin kay ang chromatin kay mag-condense to form a chromosome. Ang sa zygote kung asa magaka-happen ang bond sa chromosome, which is called the synaptonymal complex, and katong sa pairing ato ang tawag ato kay synapses. In the pachytene stage, which the crossing over occur, and then sa diplotin which is si chiasmata ang atohang makitaan, and then plus the pleokinesis, which is the moving apart stage. So next is the metaphase 1, which the homologous line up in the equator and attached to the spindle fibers from the opposite poles. And then during the anaphase 1, the spindle fibers separate the homologous chromosome in each tetrad and pull them to the opposite poles. And then the cell enters the telophase 1 with one chromosome from each homologous pair. However, each chromosome still consists of two sister chromatids rather. Now, each chromosome are no longer identical because of the allele exchange that happened during the crossing over. Then the spindle fibers disappear and the nuclear membrane reform around the chromosomes. Then cytokinesis occurs. Now, meiosis 1 ends up with two genetically different haploid daughter cells. Each haploid cells contain only one set of chromosomes consisting of paired sister chromosomes. Now, meiosis 2, however, unlike sa meiosis 1 DNA, it does not replicate before meiosis 2 begins. Now, prophase 2, the nuclear membrane disappeared and spindle fibers fan out of the centrioles, and then during the metaphase 2, the chromosomes in each cells lined up at the equator and attach the spindle fibers. During anaphase 2, the sister chromatids of each chromosome separates and move to opposite poles. And then during the telophase 2, the spindle fibers disappear and the nuclear membranes reform, and then cytokinesis occurs in both cells. Now, meiosis 2 and end up with four genetically different haploid cells, each containing one set of chromosome. So, spermatogenesis. So, it is a process of developing male gametes known as the sperm. Within the male reproductive organs, the testes. So, in the process of each sperm, which is a haploid, in order to create the haploid gamete, a cell undergoes the process of meiosis, in which is replicated and divided twice to produce four haploid gametes. So inside the testes, we can find the seminiferous tubules, where the sperm are actually made inside these tubules and travel out and into the epididymis to mature and get ready to head off via ejaculation. So in this slide where the pictures, it is as you can see, it is a simplified image of the process of spermatogenesis. Now, the proliferation phase begins when the mammalian PGC arrive at the genital ridges of a male embryo. Here, they are called gonocytes and become incorporated into the sex cords that will become the seminiferous tubules. Now, for the first stage of the spermatogenesis, which is called the spermatogonia, so which are the stem cells in the testes, will undergo cell division to produce more spermatogonia. So, this process will result in the production of two daughter cells, which ang isa is mag-differentiate and then ang isa is magstay as a spermatogonia. So, ang katong isa na mag-differentiate, ang tawag ato kay primary spermatocyte. So, in the second stage of the spermatogenesis, which is called the meiosis 1, now, the primary spermatocyte will undergo a specialized type of cell division, which is the meiosis 1. Now, during the meiosis 1, each primary spermatocyte divides into two haploid daughter cells, which is called, muna na yung ginatawag na secondary spermatocyte. In the third stage of the spermatogenesis, which is called this meiosis II, each secondary spermatocyte. So in the third stage of the spermatogenesis, which is called the meiosis II, each secondary spermatocyte will undergo another round of cell division. Now, during the meiosis II, each secondary spermatocyte divides into two haploid daughter cells, which is called the spermatids. Now, natay duha ka, so katong ni-undergo si primary spermatocyte o meiosis o cell division, which is the meiosis I, nakaproduce siya og duha ka daughter cells, which is called the secondary spermatocyte. Now, kaning secondary spermatocyte dayon kay nag-undergo na pod siya og cell division, which is meiosis II, and now nakaproduce og 4 spermatids, which each secondary spermatocyte kay nagproduce og duha ka daughter cell. So kaning spermatids kay they are a precursor to the mature sperm cell. Also, kaning si spermatids are embedded in the Sertoli cells to get a lot of nutrients. And in the fourth stage of the spermatogenesis, which is called the spermiogenesis, where the spermatids will undergo in a process of structural and functional changes to transform into immature spermatozoa or sperm. For the next slide, now the mitotic proliferation of the stem cells amplifies the small population into a population of differentiating spermatogonia. Now, the A-type spermatogonia it can be generate more than 1,000 sperm per second in adult human males. Now, the meiotic phase of spermatogenesis during puberty is regulated by these several factors. First is the glial cell line, derived from a neurotrophic factor. Now, it is made by the Sertoli cells and the Moid cells. Now, GDNF helps keep the spermatogonia dividing as stem cells. So, as mentioned earlier, at puberty, retinoic acid levels activate the STR8 transcription factor and levels the BMP8B pacrine factor that reach a critical concentration. Now, BMP8B is thought to instruct the spermatogonia to produce receptors that enable them to respond to proteins such as the stem cells factor. Now, kaning si BMP8B, it stands for a bone morphogenetic protein 8B. So, it is a type of signaling molecule in our bodies that acts as a messenger between cells, sending signals to nearby cells to regulate various biological process. So, as you can see in this picture, kani siya nga kay it is a complex picture kung paunsa ang process sa spermatogenesis. Now, for the first step, kay it is so in this picture, as you can see, it is a complex picture for the process of spermatogenesis. So, spermatogonia with high levels of STR8 and responding to stem cell factor divide to become a type B spermatogonia. They divide once to generate the primary spermatocyte, the cells that enter the meiosis. Now, each primary spermatocyte will undergo the first meiotic division to yield a pair of secondary spermatocyte, which complete the second division of the meiosis, which is the meiosis II. Now, the haploid cells thus form are called the spermatids, and they are still connected to one another through the cytoplasmic bridges. Now, during the division from undifferentiated spermatogonia to spermatids, the cells move further and further away from the basal lamina of the seminiferous tubules and closer to the lumen. So, as the spermatids move toward the border of the lumen, they lose their cytoplasmic connections and differentiate into a spermatozoa or a sperm cell. Now, in humans, the progression from a spermatogonial stem cell to mature spermatozoa takes 65 days. Differentiation of the sperm. Now, the first step is the construction of the acrosomal vesicle from the Golgi apparatus. The acrosome forms a cup that covers the sperm nucleus. So, as the acrosomal cup is formed, kaning si nucleus kay mo rotate ni siya so that kaning si cup kay mo face sa basal lamina. And necessary ni siya nga rotation because the flagellum which is beginning to form from the centriole on the other side of the nucleus and will extend into the lumen of the seminiferous tubules. And during the last stage of the spermiogenesis, the nucleus flattens and condenses. The remaining cytoplasm, the residual body or the cytoplasmic droplet is thrown away. And the mitochondria form a ring around the base of the flagellum. Now, the final differentiation of the sperm, it occurs in the reproductive tract of the female. So, here, the secretion from the oviducts will change the sperm cell membrane so that it can fuse with the membrane of the egg cells. Thus, the full differentiation of the sperm takes place in two different organisms.
Moving on sa oogenesis in gametogenesis in mammals. Oogenesis is the formation of the female sex cell or the female gametes oogenesis that consists of two events that are happening at the same time. The first event in the mitotic event where mitosis take place, mitosis 1 and 2. And the second event that occur at the same time is the development of the follicle. Now, the mitotic event first, oogenesis, begin during the fetal stage itself. At the fetal stage, the primordial germ cell will undergo mitosis and become the oogenome. The oogenome then will develop and grow into primary oocytes. And you can see this a number of cells in 2n, which means that. And then the primary oocyte will begin mitosis 1. However, mitosis 1 will be stalled or will be stuck at prophase 1. So the primary oocyte will stop at prophase 1 during the fetal development. And about 7 million primary oocytes are produced after birth. And 6 million of these will undergo the programmed cell death. So ang mahitabuan ni sa 7 million, 1 na lang ang mabilin tungod kay na namatay. And the remaining 1 primary oocyte will continue to die until the female reaches puberty. So at puberty, primary oocyte will reduce to about 300,000 and all are still at prophase 1. However, when puberty hits prophase 1, then the prophase 1 will finally continue on mitosis 1 and will be continued, and the mitosis 1 will be completed. We will have the 2 haploid cells that so we have the haploid cells, and haploid cell contain the haploid number of chromosomes that is half the number, which means haploid cells will only contain 23 chromosomes. So one is much larger than the other one, contain a lot more cytoplasms. Then the other one, the small cell, is known as the first polar body. The larger cell is known as the secondary oocyte. So the primary oocyte has now formed the secondary oocytes. Then the secondary oocyte will begin mitosis 2. However, once again, mitosis 2 is not completed. And so, we get a secondary oocyte that is stuck once again at metaphase 2. And this secondary oocyte is what is released during the ovulation, and now the secondary oocyte is going to remain at the metaphase 2 stage until a sperm penetrate the secondary oocyte. Then the mitosis 2 is going to be completed, and when mitosis 2 is completed, the secondary oocyte will then become, once again, you will see cell of two different size, one smaller cells and one larger cells. The smaller cells is known as the second polar body, whereas the larger cells is what we call the ovum. Finally, the ovum is produced, and what happened to that first polar body at the first polar body may either degenerate or it could also undergo mitosis 2 when the first polar body undergo mitosis 2. So it become two polar bodies, and these cells with very little cytoplasm. At the end of the day, at the polar body are going to degenerate. So, moving on sa follicle development. After birth, we have the primary oocyte, which was stuck at the prophase 1. And when we have a layer of cells surrounding this primary oocyte known as the follicle cells. When one layer of follicle cells surround the primary oocytes, the combination of these two things is known as the primary follicle. At puberty, when the menstruation cycle begins, follicles stimulating hormone is released. And this hormones is going to stimulate the growth of follicle cells. And so, from one layer of follicle cells is going to become more and more layer of follicle cells. Then, we have the secondary oocytes encompastulated by few layer of follicle cells. This combination is known as a secondary follicle. The follicle cells are going to continue the growth and development until it eventually becomes the mature follicle. So now, the mature follicle is ready to release the secondary oocyte into the fallopian tube from the ovaries. This occurs during ovulation. So during ovulation, the secondary oocyte is released, and now what is left is the follicle cells. And these follicle cells are going to develop into what we call the corpus luteum. Corpus luteum stands for yellow body. It is a bundle of cells which is going to be responsible producing progesterone. A larger proportion, perhaps even